table, it looks an awful lot better from a Brazilian point of view than it did 10 minutes ago, or would have done 10 minutes ago. Brazil have got their first win of the competition. The late show against Costa Rica. Serbia, Switzerland is coming up later. That's going to be tasty as well. But, Michael, when you look at those shots, Neymar, well, look, the Neymar show, he was a different player when the first goal went in.
Yeah, he was better today all round. But, yeah, listen, I think it shows you pressure these guys are under as well. I mean, I'm not sure about the reaction, to be honest. That would be expecting more to share with his teammates that they've won the game. They've scored two goals in the last 6 minutes. So, but obviously there's a huge sense of relief there. It was the right result, let's be honest. You know, Brazil were far better in the second half, forced the game a lot more, and you know, they had to be patient and eventually got what they deserved.
Liam, Neymar?
Oh, yeah, as Michael said, he was far better in the second half. He was much better because of the substitutions that were made. You know, the Chichi finally put the right team on. Douglas Costa, we talked about him before. We saw the substitution at half-time. He made an immense impact when he came on. He got behind the Costa Rican defence. And Firmino, he came on after 70-odd minutes for Paulinho. For me, he does nothing for this Brazil team. And Firmino came on and he was excellent as well. Actually gave Jesus up front a bit of a hand. A pair of them were making runs. They created umpteen chances and you thought they weren't going to be able to do it. It just seemed to be, it wasn't going to be their day. Navas was tremendous in the Costa Rican goal, but finally they got a little bit of a break for the first goal when Jesus he didn't mean to touch it into Coutinho's path, but Coutinho was there to put it in. Fully deserved, and they're up and running now. And it was Samba stuff towards the end, which we want to see. Costa Rican team, you got to give them credit for being game, but we really don't want to see teams like that anymore going forward in the competition. They're wasting time. They're just there to defend. We want to see teams like Brazil go forward in the competition, and they ought to now move forward out of this group.
I'll come back to that point, Liam, in a little while. But like Richie, the reaction of those Brazilian players, the tears from Neymar, you can read into it so many ways. But one way is just absolute relief, because until the 90th minute, if that had finished 0-0, they were facing an Argentina-like reaction back in Brazil.
Yeah, they've enough experience to know what kind of reaction they would have gotten if they dropped points again today. But they got what they deserved, and I'd have a huge amount of sympathy for Costa Rica. The mismatch in terms of their natural talent and individual skill and the resources and their history at this level, expectations, well, they shouldn't really be at the same level at all, but they gave a really spirited display, particularly in defence. They didn't offer much going forward over the 90 minutes, but that wasn't their plan, and they left it very late. We had a superb use of VAR, in my opinion, as well. Wonderful bit of skill from Neymar at the end. Brazil came to life in the second half. We sat there at half-time wondering, would the coach make changes? We knew he had options on the bench. I think he did. He made very positive changes and the players responded. It was really, really good second half, but I'd have sympathy for Costa Rica, given all the effort they put in.
Yet no fairy tale repeat of what happened to them 4 years ago for Costa Rica. But Brazil, in a few weeks' time, they may well look back to those injury time minutes and look upon them as very, very significant for their World Cup future and what's going to happen in the weeks ahead in Russia. But let's look again and in more detail, Liam, at that Coutinho goal. You mentioned about the substitutions that they made a big difference. Douglas Costa coming on, Firmino coming on.
Yeah, Firmino played a huge part in this. It's a cross from Marcelo. Look at the height he jumps here. Boom, knocks it down. Very intelligent header. He's an intelligent player, Firmino. Very intelligent header. Jesus gets lucky with his touch. It falls into the path of Coutinho. Coutinho dropped deep when Paulinho went off. And that's what I mean about arriving in the box late. They can't be marked. Whereas Paulinho, he's in the box already when those crosses are coming in, so he gets picked up. The Costa Ricans couldn't mark him because he arrived so late, and he deserved that goal. They deserved that goal, and look how happy they were. What a relief.
So, Michael, for you, like Liam, would the team that finished for Brazil, do you feel it was a much better team than the team that started with the changes that the coach made?
Yeah, they were better with Coutinho, deeper. Sometimes in a tournament you find your best team by accident, really, rather than design. And I think, like, in he went with basically the same starting 11 bar the change at fullback. So in attacking sense, it was the same. But they do look a better team with Firmino in the team. I think they were a better team because they had the ability just to cross the ball, which they didn't do in the first half. And Coutinho there, you know, he was their best player on the day. I felt it was fitting that he got the goal. You know, you look at it when the ball's in the box, he's running from so deep. He's actually outside the box when you see it from behind the goal, and it's a great little finish. But you know, he still has to solve. I think Jesus is a player that they should go to off the bench, and they have to find a solution in midfield for Paulinho.
Richie, Neymar opened his account at the World Cup finally.
He did, yeah. And Costa Rica, they'd conceded the first goal. They're a little bit open, and I think it was a really good break from Casemiro in the middle of the park. But it's no more than Brazil deserved. I spoke a moment ago. I have sympathy for Costa Rica because of the effort they put in and because the goals came so late. But you see the amount of space he has to run into here. They're just wide open. Ball out wide. And we just thought at this first and we saw, was he onside or not? This angle clears it up. He's clearly onside. Really good ball across, but you can see why Neymar attracted so much attention. You can see why he's so important to Brazil. You can see why the cameras love him. You can see why opponents want to kick him as well. He gave so much in that second half, but it's what Brazil deserved. All
right, now the penalty incident, this historic in its own way. We're going to look at this where the referee, the Dutch referee, initially gave the penalty, then went and had a look at the replay on the side and overturned it. Richie?
Yeah, it was... again, when we first saw it, you can see the position of the referee. He's right there, and you can see Neymar going down, and you can see the reaction of the Costa Rican players. I think this is perfect use of technology. The referee has made what he believes is the right call. He goes to the VAR officials for their view, and I think the outcome was absolutely correct. I don't think there was sufficient contact on Neymar to warrant the penalty kick. The replays do show, I think the left arm does seem to maybe touch his stomach, his chest. There's no obvious grab of a shirt, but for me, I don't think that's sufficient contact at all for the ref to give the penalty. Neymar goes down. I think it looks a bit of a theatrical dive, but I think he just lost balance and went back. Maybe he was looking to draw the foul, but the referee, for me, absolutely spot on to go to the VAR officials for backup, and they were absolutely right. Or the referee was right to roll back on his decision, and I think Liam disagrees.
Yeah, Liam?
I thought he impeded him with his arm, with his hand. If you obstruct somebody with your body, it's an indirect free kick. If you just get in the way and stop him from reaching the ball. But I felt that his hand was, you know, almost grabbed the shirt for him momentarily. Neymar felt it, and he said, well, I can't get the ball anymore, so it's got to be a foul. And I think the referee agreed with it. Did the referee go to VAR, or did VAR go to the referee? This is what I don't understand.
Well, no, they would have. He gives the decision, and the officials, just as we...
Yeah, but Richie said the referee wanted VAR to...
Well, the officials would have said, look, we think you should have a look at that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right use of VAR.
The VAR guys would have said, you should look at it again.
Yeah.
And that's where he goes over. That's a look at the
second goal. There's no need for VAR on that. He's clearly onside. They don't need to, you know, in that situation.
But what's your feel? Like, did you think it was a penalty, Michael, or what way?
I think Gonzalez actually does well, because I think Gonzalez goes to grab the shirt and he realises, and right at the last minute, he doesn't do it. You can clearly see there is a slightest bit of contact. There's not enough for me to give the penalty. I think Neymar has an opportunity possibly to hit it as well. It's a great piece of play by Firmino, but it is VAR as I would certainly like to see it used. Give the penalty, and then if it's the wrong decision, then you can look at it, as opposed to, you know, letting play go on and then bringing play back, as we have seen in some of the other games, to give penalties. So for me, it was the right call. It was one of those that I think, you know, technology has sort of worked in the way that we would like to see it used in the game.
What is apparent is that they're making the decision up there and they're telling the referee.
And the referee made that decision.
No, he didn't.
He wrote back in his original decision.
Well, the referee would have made that.
Well, put it this way, Richie. Every time the referee's been called over to that telecamera, right, he's agreed why they've asked him to look at it again.
But is that
and
not...
he's changed the decision.
Good.
He's never confirmed his own decision at all. He's changed the decision in every instance.
Is that not the technology working?
That's it.
No, but is it the referee deciding?
It is.
But ultimately, he does decide.
No, I think he's been told, you've got to change your mind here.
Because it's wrong. It's a clear and obvious error.
I didn't think it was wrong.
Okay.
No, I didn't think it was wrong.
The ones we've seen earlier have been ones where it's been pulled back. and then he's made a decision to give a penalty. That's different from giving a penalty and then going to the on-field review, which he has done there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think he's made the decision, and they've maybe said to him, listen, I would review that. I think that's good use of it. He's gone and reviewed it and says, well, actually, I've made the wrong decision.
The referees are told from minute one, forget about VAR, just referee the game as you normally would. If the VAR official sees something that he may like to review, and that's what happened there, they'll come back and do it. So,
in simplest terms, it's brought in to support the referee to minimise the amount of game-changing errors that he would make. And in this case, in my view, he made what would have been a game-changing error. He looked at the technology, and that cleared up for him that he'd made a mistake, and he was big enough to acknowledge the mistake.
I don't know what you mean by saying it wasn't enough of a physical touch.
I'll say what I mean. I'll explain clearly what I mean by enough. This is contact there. Is that a penalty kick? Because at that level of the degree of contact has to be a feature.
It was a lot more than that, Richie. He grabbed hold of his shirt and then he let it go.
That's what I mean. It's the degree of contact.
It was a lot more than that.
OK, well, the referee, it was the first time we've seen a penalty awarded, and then the referee going and looking at the technology and looking at the replays and reversing his decision. So that's historic in its own right.
Every time he's gone to the camera, he's reversed the decision. He's reversed the decision. No, but all the others as well, Dara, he's reversed the decision.
But is that not the thing working properly, Liam? If the referee has another look, like, you know, and you get into the point where it's debatable.
Not in every instance, no. And why you know, we talked about the push on Miranda. Why wasn't that? You know,
I know, but that's what Brazil wrote to.
OK, I'm for it. I'm for it, but it's not 100% correct.
Well, I think didn't they say they knew that would be the case, but if they can iron out those things, I suppose, look, when you come back to an interpretation or it's a judgment where you're not dealing with a solid fact,
You'll never get 100%.
There's always going to be a grey area.
You'll never, ever get 100%.
We saw the penalty yesterday in the Denmark game and the previous Denmark game on Poulsen, where he hasn't given the penalty. The play has gone on, and then there's been communication between the referee and the VAR panel to say, listen, we think you should review that. They've brought him over to the monitor, and then he's given a penalty.
Yeah.
OK, I don't think that's the best use of the technology. I think this is the best use of the technology, where he's gone, that's a penalty. They've said to him possibly, either he's made the decision to review it or they have told him to review it, and he's looked at it again and gone, I don't think there's enough contact.
That's another one. I know we're going on a bit long, but the Poulsen one for me is not a penalty. I don't think he can get out of the way of the ball, and he's only a yard away from it. But they told the referee to give a penalty.
You don't know that the referee gave a penalty. He's the one.
They said his hand was in an unnatural
It's been really, really clear all the time. The referee is the one who makes the final call.
He didn't give a penalty to begin with. He let the game go on, and then it was called back.
Yeah, and then he gave the penalty. You're wrong to assume that the referee is doing what he's told.
Okay.
He's the one with the final call on all issues.
It's the referee. There's one person looking.
That's what FIFA are saying. But I haven't. OK, look, let's finish it now, Dara.
Yeah.
When a referee actually says, no, I'm going to stick with my decision, then you can say that.
All right, OK. No, well, I'm just going on the guidelines that they've given us. That's the information they've given us, and we have to, well, I'm choosing to take them at their word. The one thing that we thought that VAR would do to the game of football was it would leave us with nothing to talk about.
Who thought? Well, I don't know who said that. I don't know who said that.
A lot of people said it, Richie, but I think it's been knocked on the head in the last few minutes.
Wrong.
I want to look at good Brazil play right now, Michael, and you're going to talk about this, please.
Yeah.
This was coming up before the goal.
Yeah, no need for VAR on this. It was Brazil. They played greater intensity second half. They're up on the ball a lot better. And one of the things they did consistently was they crossed the ball. You know, they crossed the ball in areas. They asked questions of Costa Rica defensively, and they followed things up. One of the things when you play against that blanket defence is to get the ball in the box. This was Jesus. He should have probably done better. Should have scored. Heavy heads it down. But the telltale signs were there. And again, Coutinho, Gamboa, really by accident rather than anything else, deflects this wide. But at this point, you know, Brazil were cranking up the pressure. You felt it was only a matter of time before they scored. We didn't think they would have to go as late into the game as what they did. But again, it's much quicker. Neymar in this situation, I think this shows that he's still a little bit short of fitness, a little bit short of sharpness. This is another example, comes in. We would expect to see him hit the target in that situation. Good effort, but again, we would expect to see him work Navas in that situation.
I think they had some great chances there, didn't they? Those clips of him, what, at least 6 or 7, where the Costa Ricans never had a shot on target, I don't think.
No.
They had a great chance in the first half on a breakaway. It was their best move of the match. Borges didn't score. That was the only way, you know, they were going to catch Brazil. They were very, very defensive, and, you know, Brazil worthy winners in the end, even though it was in injury time there.
Yeah, and you know, I suppose for a long time in the match, they were so dominant. Costa Rica, look, they're gone out of the competition now, but Navas did all that was humanly possible from his point of view.
Yeah, he's a top goalkeeper. This is him quick off the line here, stands up, and he does well to block Neymar. Costa, here he is coming in from the left. That was actually a good back heel from Coutinho. He's in again here, but good goalkeeping, quick off his line. And there he is, stopping Neymar from finishing. I thought he was tremendous, and if it wasn't for him, it probably would have been over earlier. This was a great save from Neymar, fingertip save, first time shot from Neymar. Costa added so much. He got behind that Costa Rican defence. Here he is again, setting Casemiro up, routine save. I thought he was very good and brave as well. He got injured here. He banged into his teammate Casemiro, his Real Madrid teammate. But he was very, very good, Navas. And he nearly pulled off a great result for Costa Rica.
Yeah, and he did all he could to try and keep them in the competition. Who knows if he's going to be Real Madrid's first choice come the start of next season. We'll finish our review of Brazil's victory, Michael, with Neymar and his face. We're talking about Messi and his face all over every newspaper in the world, front and back today. Tomorrow, ditto with this fella.
This is where he does a nice little piece of play here over Gamboa. Showed a good turn of pace. You look at, there's 2-3 around him, so he's getting, in the early part of the game, he was getting fouled. This is poor again. We're sort of thinking 15-20 minutes into the game, is he going to have an impact? Then he starts to do this. He starts to run in behind. Okay, his touch is a little bit loose. Navas is out on top of him. Again, he runs in behind. Great, he has a nice little piece of play here. Cuts it back. And again, we see another one. Look, he's on the edge. He's in between. He's a good position outside Gamboa. Lovely wee check back and a nice little dink to the back post. Defended well by the Costa Ricans. But suddenly we saw him run off the ball. We didn't see the same level of holding on to the ball. This is one occasion that he did it, where suddenly, you know, there's 2 against him, doesn't release it, loses the ball.
Well, what did the coach say, that he's going to need 4 or 5 games, Dara?
Yeah.
Well, this is another one under his belt. He's gone, what, 96, 97 minutes. So that'll do him good. Also, the, you know, finishing off with a goal. That ball wasn't one of his greatest. A little bit overhit there, Michael, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just needed. You would expect him. And again, these are the situations where you expect him fit and at 100%. You'd expect
just
him
a yard, maybe half a yard short from being at his best.
And how quick will that yard return? Or does it?
I think that game, the confidence of winning it, the confidence of getting that goal, I think he'll go on from here.
There'll be a samba party.
The thing with the reactions, you wonder if these players actually are enjoying the World Cup. You see Messi last night, you know, during the national
pressure
anthem,
they're under.
The pressure, you know, it just seems to be. You hope that they get some sense of enjoyment out of the tournament as well, but at times it doesn't seem like that.
I'd say he'll only enjoy it if he wins the thing. But anyway, we'll see in the middle of next month. They're in this bubble, aren't they?